So he goes on to say, he goes on to describe his coming, the days of his coming, and here's where I believe Jesus connects his coming with a destructive event, okay? He says, just as it was in the days of Noah, so too it will be in the days of the Son of Man. People will be eating, they were drinking, they were marrying, they were given in marriage right up to the day that Noah entered the ark. Then the flood came and destroyed them all. So here Jesus is describing life going on as normal. There's nothing really bad about people eating and drinking and marrying. I mean, that's things that we all do today, right? And he says this happened right up until the day Noah entered the ark. Life as usual, right? Then a destructive event came and destroyed them all. So he doesn't stop there. He gives another example of a destructive event and compares it to his coming when he says in verse 28, likewise, just as it was in the days of Lot, people were eating, drinking, buying, selling, planting, and building. But on the day Lot went out from Sodom, fire and sulfur rained down from heaven and destroyed them all. It will be the same on the day the Son of Man is revealed. So, again, he connects a destructive event, the fire of Sodom and Gomorrah, coming down, and says it will be the same as the day the Son of Man is revealed. There's going to be, in other words, a destructive event that takes place when my sudden lightning flash appearance happens in the future. So maybe we haven't looked at those verses in the right way in the past, before now. But maybe with all these connections that I've brought up in my book, it's actually time to understand these verses and what Jesus is saying. And Paul is saying that there's going to be a sudden, unexpected catastrophe that overtakes the earth when Jesus appears, resurrects the dead, and catches up the living. And there's going to be something that we want to escape from. It's interesting that verb for rapture, which is harpazo in Greek, it's actually a sudden snatching up by the hair. Sometimes you grab somebody by the hair and snatch them and pull them up out of harm's way. There's a lot of Greek words that Paul could have used in describing the catching up, but he chose harpazo. He chose the words that where Philip was snatched up, and he himself, Paul, was snatched up in 2 Corinthians chapter 12. Well, here in 1 Thessalonians, he used that verb to describe what's going to happen to Christians. Why would he use that verb? Because there's something that's going to happen on the earth that we're going to want to be snatched away from. We've got to be snatched away out of harm's way. And I believe that it's the destruction that ensues when the supernatural event of God's power raising the dead and his voice shaking the earth takes place in our natural world in the future. That destruction is going to take place. It's going to leave the world in chaos and confusion, and it's going to be a possible explanation for their disappearance. They're just missing in the destruction. They won't even know that the rapture or the catching up had taken place.
All these events, though, the final event with Christ resurrecting the dead and coming back, every time that there is some destruction, such as the days of Noah, it's to end mankind, a corrupt mankind, and to begin, give us another chance. But it never, this final chance, Christ will, after the 7-year tribulation time, it's my understanding he'll rule the earth for 1,000 years. And we won't have to worry again about a corrupt society.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he flooded the world and Noah saved the animals and his family, it was again to end a corrupt society.
Yeah.
So for me, when I think of Jesus Christ coming again, I'm thinking he's had it. He's to the point that this world is so bad he doesn't feel it can go forward anymore. He can't really tolerate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree to a point, but I think there's something that is a little different with the flood, and I believe, personally, that the seed of the human being was so genetically corrupted by what took place in Genesis chapter 6 with the sons of God and the daughters of men, having sexual relations, that the entire earth was filled with this corrupted hybrid genetic seed. And the Nephilim, fallen ones, the ones that were the children of this unholy union of the sons of God, which were an angelic type of being, and the daughters of them were these Nephilim, these hybrids, and they were taking over the earth. They were killing normal people, and they were spreading their seed, okay? And it was to the point where God said, this can't happen anymore. I'm going to have to wipe out the entire earth. I'm going to have to save 8 people who have not been infected with this. And it was the pure line of Noah that he chose. That was all that he could spare, along with the animals that had not been corrupted. By the way, the Nephilim also corrupted the animals. We find that in other extra biblical books. But so I believe that it was much more dire straits in the time of Noah. But yeah, your point is well taken.
Well, there just seems very, very corrupt society.
Yeah. Now the thing is with Jesus coming back in the future, and I touch on this in my book, that God throughout all the Bible has always had told his people that the land must be cleansed with blood to cleanse the guilt of the shedding of innocent blood, basically. When innocent blood is shed on the earth, there is guilt. That guilt can only go away when the blood of the guilty is shed to cleanse it. Okay, this is kind of like capital punishment. But it's all throughout the Old Testament. When I studied this, I was really shocked to find that all throughout the Old Testament, he had laid down the laws in the books of Exodus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy and Leviticus that blood is to cleanse the land. It's going to go well with you in the land if you cleanse the land of the guilt of shedding innocent blood by killing the guilty. If you don't, it's going to go really bad. So here we have a world now where we have abortion, and the innocent blood of those innocent babies is crying out for vengeance. It has not been cleansed with the blood of the guilty, those who have killed the innocent. We also have murder going on. We have the evil power structure killing people at their whim, killing people whenever they feel like it, whenever they need to kill people. They just do it without a conscience. All this innocent blood, and even, of course, Christians, all this innocent blood is gone without being cleansed. The blood of the guilty must be used to cleanse that guilt. Well, I believe that the judgments during the day of wrath that I described earlier, all the trumpet and bowl judgments, if you read those, there's blood all throughout those judgments. I believe that blood is going to cleanse the earth of all of the guilt that is on it now. The sinful, the blood of the innocent that was not cleansed, the guilt of the innocent blood that was not cleansed with the blood of the guilty will be cleansed during that time. And then Jesus can return, right? Then Jesus can return to reign on the earth. Why should we expect him to come and return to the earth on an earth that, first of all, is in a destructive state, and second of all, has not been cleansed of the guilt that is on it, right? I'm not talking about him dying on the cross to die for the sins of the people. I'm talking about the land, the guilt of the land that is on the land. This is all throughout the Old Testament that must be cleansed in order for it to go well with the inhabitants. So I believe that what is going on in those judgments in the day of wrath is a cleansing process so that Jesus can return. And like you said, there's going to be a reign of Jesus on the earth in the future. And I believe that reign will take place only after the earth has been cleansed by